it may well be Monday, but it's not a bad day, Tom. Not a bad day at all, because West Ham actually got something exciting to talk about. A new player, West Ham, are actually signing a football player. Can you believe it? Hadji Malick Diouf is in London now, mate. He's having his medical as we speak. So not a bad start to the week, is it?
It's not. I saw the plane photo of him with his agent, and it was a bit sad not to see Tim on the plane as well. That was a bit of a shame. I've got used to Tim's plane photos, but no, yeah, it's good. It's good start to the week. Obviously, we've had a very miserable window so far, so it's good to get some positive news.
It is. It's some positive news. I mean, there's a couple of things we want to talk about in this video. Three things, in fact, we want to talk about. We want to talk about Diouf. Obviously, that's the big talking point, having a player, our first major signing of the summer. I mean, all right, he hasn't signed yet. Still got a complete medical, but it feels like this is the sort of formality. Shouldn't, hopefully, if anyone's going to cock it up, it's us. So I'm not going to get too excited, but I think we can safely say it's sort of 95% there, you would imagine now, in terms of our confidence levels of getting it done. And also, of course, then Sam's next targets, because that's come out from ex-WHU employee in regards to Harvey Elliot and Tyler Morton, Liverpool duo, which I think is very exciting, but we can talk about that a little bit more. But also, this is a live video, so we want to talk to fans and get everyone's perspective on things as well, and hopefully there's a bit of a feel-good factor around. I think we've all been a bit starved of that, haven't we, Tom, for a while? Something to actually be a bit enjoyable conversation in regards to West Ham. Let's talk to you first about Diouf, mate. First of all, what's your feelings on the player? How are you feeling about him coming over to the club?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say 90% positive. I feel like he's definitely the sort of player that we've needed to bring in, that physicality, that pace that he clearly possesses. Obviously, I can't say I've watched him week in, week out, being in the Czech league, but I watched him for Senegal against England. I thought he was very impressive. I've seen the clips that we all see, and you have to take that with a pinch of salt, because it's obviously highlights, not low lights. So it's always positive when you see those clips. But he looks like a real player. Looks like really physical presence down that left-hand side. Looks like he's got a lot of pace, and he's actually a bit of a goal threat. I mean, from left back, he's scored some goals. I think he's played left midfield as well for Slavia as well. But yeah, he can score the odd goal, which is always, I mean, we don't have a lot of goals in our team, so that's always a nice bonus. I do feel like it's the only downside I can think of at the moment is the fact that we haven't shifted Emerson on. So now, once he signs on the dotted line, we have three left backs, and fullback is not a position you want three players in one position, because it's just an overload. And I know we're going to get rid of Emerson. I hope that does happen. I hope we're not sort of just trying to literally get rid of him for nothing now that Diouf is through the door. Yeah, it sort of goes back to that position of centre midfield where I really would like us to see us strengthen. But anyway, in terms of the Diouf signing, very positive. And I think 20 years of age is perfect age. So I think he'll be good. I really hope he comes in and offers us completely something different, particularly if we play with the back five and he shifts into that sort of left wing back, because he looks like he's clearly got the physical presence to do that. So, it's exciting signing, but the first of many, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. I from what I've seen of him, I like the fact that he's quite a direct player. He seems like he's got that attacking intent. I would say he comes across more like a winger to me than more offensive than defensive when I watch him play. Don't get me wrong, I've seen some of his tackles and they're fine and impressive as well. But you look at him going forward, it's not just his crossing ability, which, by the way, I really like. He whips crosses in, and then not only does he whip it in with pace, but he seems to have that accurate pinpoint precision when it comes to where he's putting the ball, much like David Beckham used to have that. I'm talking about when he was really far out. He can be sort of like near the halfway line, and he can whip across, and he can somehow find exactly where the ball where he wants to put the ball. So I really like that about him. But it's also his running ability. He runs quite direct at players, a little bit like Wan-Bissaka at times, but because he's got such long legs, he's able to neatly do 1-2s as he's running at pace. I think he's going to be quite an exciting player, and I get the feeling that this is going to be one of those bigger signings for us when the season starts. You know what I mean? I feel like this was a key position Potter wanted to get sorted. It's quite evident, like you've said, Tom, that this is going to be how Potter wants to set up. I think he wants to play with the wing backs options, a three at the back, operate with wing backs. So I'm guessing he'll probably want a box midfield with a striker to accommodate that. which is kind of like he did that quite a fair bit when he was at Brighton. That was his
Yeah.
preferred. I mean, he does move things around. But what I like about it as well is if things aren't working, when you've got the 2 wing back options, you can shift things quite easily without even really having to make substitutions. You could say to Diouf, well, you go play as a winger now. We're going to go for a back 4, and it can change it quite comfortably. So I think it does give us options. I'm excited, mate. I think it's a positive move, and we've been starved of this. Something to get behind and get a little bit excited about. But yeah, very good, very, very good. And what I've got to ask you, Tom, what your feelings are on, and also this is for people watching as well, in terms of what this does for Graham Potter, because I think it's very important he gets backed. I think it's very important he gets the players he wants. Now, we know for a fact from X that this was the number 1 target for the left wing back role that he wanted. He must be buzzing today, Potter. You'd imagine that West Ham have gone and got the player that he wanted. It must give him a little bit of a boost of confidence, as manager. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before that if you're hiring Graham Potter, surely you want the Graham Potter of Brighton and not the Graham Potter of Chelsea, where he was getting signings just put on him almost. Like, he seemed like he wasn't choosing the players, and there were just loads of signings coming in, and it just got on top of him a little bit. You want that sort of analytical, data-led approach, and hopefully that's what's happened with this signing. And Carl McCauley and Graham Potter have identified him, think that he's the main player for that position. And then if that's the case, then like you say, it's very important you're going back to the manager. What is the point in hiring a manager and not, trying to at least accommodate some of his sort of recommendations, particularly with Carl McCauley as well. So I think it's big for him. Hopefully he starts to feel like this is his team. I think that was a big problem for the second half of last season. He just felt like there's a lot of players there that weren't his players. And this is obviously one that's going to be. So, I think it's a big positive, big plus for Potter. Hopefully you get a few more through the door and he can start to, like I say, feel like it's his team.
Yeah, I do. I think that as well. I think that's the paramount importance of all of this. Regardless of what your feelings are with Graham Potter, I know that there are certainly anxieties around in terms of the fan base, and I understand that. We're a pretty scarred fan base at the moment, aren't we? Pretty fragile with what we've been through last season. I think there's still that anxiety of going into this campaign. But regardless of your feelings towards Potter, the club clearly want him, and he is our manager or head coach, if we want to call it. And for him, we want him, that's sure we all want him to succeed because that's us doing well. So I think it's so important West Ham go out and get those players. Because at the end of the day, I think West Ham, it's quite clear, we're not going to be spending 60, 70 million pounds on one player this summer. That's not how it's going to be run. I think we're going to be looking at 5 or 6, maybe 7 players, all probably around the sort of 20 million pound mark. It might be the odd 30, 40 million pound one gem, and we'll come to that in a minute in terms of Harvey Elliot. But I don't think we're going to be spending big. So I think we've got to be really clever in the market. And it seems that we are operating in that manner. I quite like the players we're being linked with. But this profile of player, I think, is what excites me. He's young, up and coming. You've got good sell on value, Tom. It's like we don't do well as a club, West Ham. We're typically pretty poor at it, actually, getting players at the wrong time of their careers, and we hang on to them for too long. Much like Douglas Luiz, look at that as an example. People are saying, well, that'd be a great sign for West Ham. And don't get me wrong, I can get why people get excited about it. But you think about it in timescale, it's probably not a very wise move. You've got to pay a lot of money to get him, a lot of wages, and the sell on value goes very quickly. I think he's 28, 20, you know what I mean? Late 20s. So you're almost like you're not going to get a return on him unless he does astronomically well for one season and a bigger club comes in to has him. Which that's the only way you're going to make any money. So I think we've got to be very sensible. I like it, and also bringing that age, the squad down. Right. I will go into some comments, by the way, from people. What we're going to do is we're going to chat about the Liverpool duo. Let's talk about them first, Tom. Get your thoughts, and then we'll go on to comments from the subscribers. Yeah, does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Right, I'm quite interested. I'm interested to get your take on this. I mean, I've seen your video previous, but I want to talk to you about it a bit more now. Let's leave Harvey Elliot for a minute because I think he's more of the star at the moment. But there's nothing to take from Tyler Morton. What are your feelings on Tyler Morton? This is a player that we've been linked with a fair bit, but there are talks. Well, X has now said that this is now going to be a prime target. We're going to now go for him in this week. So, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I like again the age he's at a good age and 22, and you feel like he's only going to get better. He's got potential to improve, which is a key thing. He hasn't played a lot of football, particularly last season. He did have a shoulder injury, for a period of time. I think he missed a good sort of number of games in double digits of games missed, which is an issue. I think he only recovered in sort of April, which you hope he's off the back of that, fit and ready. But yeah, I like the fact that we're trying to sign young players, basically players that are hungry, players that need to prove themselves. He is the Liverpool lad. You do feel like that at one stage he might want to move back to Liverpool if he does prove himself. But like you say, there's definitely resale value there. I feel like this one, just from my personal opinion, because of the sort of risk in the fact that he hasn't played in a lot of Premier League football, his sort of main season was in the Championship with Hull a few seasons ago. I feel like a loan with an option to buy, for me, makes sense. I don't know if that's the route we're going down. I don't know if we're trying to just buy him off Liverpool. I don't know what sort of fee we're looking at. But for me, a loan where you just say, look, let's get him playing. At West Ham, he's got opportunity to play. He won't play every game, maybe, depending on who we sort of bring in. But let's get him some football. Let's see what he's like in the Premier League. And then if we want to sign him, we've got that first dibs of like 20 million quid or whatever option it would be. And then we can make him permanent. If not, he goes back to Liverpool and then maybe sort of reevaluates his options. That makes sense to me. I don't know. We've got a lot of players at the moment in that midfield area, but I feel like Potter probably doesn't know his best too. And if, like you say, if we're going to play that box midfield and say Somerville and Bowen behind the striker, behind Fulkrug, that sort of middle two is sort of the biggest position for me at the moment, and one we really need to solve. Got lots of numbers, and you think of like the likes of Irvin, Alvarez, Rodriguez, Ward-Prowse, Souček, and then you've got the youngsters Potts and Orford. It's a lot of players there. So it for me, I'm just sort of like concerned with that. Does Tyler Morton beat those to a position, come in and go into the start? I'm not so sure he does. And therefore, is it, just add into the mix? Obviously, we'll talk about Harvey Elliot in a bit. But yeah, for me, I like the fact that we're looking at young players. I don't want his sort of introduction to harm Potts and maybe Orford as well. If we're going to blood a youngster into the team, I'd rather it be our own, to be frank. But yeah, I can't moan in terms of he seems like the right profile of player.
Yeah, agreed. I like you say, the profile of player is really important here. I think it's quite clear that this is the route we're going down. Potter's talked about it previously anyway. We are looking at younger, up and coming, exciting players that are hungry. And this is one thing I've been really keen to sort of change at West Ham. I feel like we've certainly in the recent last couple of years, we've possibly targeted players that possibly didn't really want to come to West Ham. And kind of seen it as I'm in the Premier League though, don't really want to go there. So I basically, as I arrive, I'm always kind of ringing my agent going, what else is happening? Anyone else interested? I had that feeling with Alvarez quite quickly, because if you remember, he kind of early on, he flirted the idea. I think it might have been Liverpool or Manchester United. It was one of the two that they made a noise about it. Manchester United, it would have been, because it was Erik ten Hag. I remember him sort of already flirting with the idea. When it's flattering to be linked with Manchester United. I thought, he probably just arrived. You know what I mean? He's already talking about leaving. Kudus is a prime example. He's never looked a player that's gone, I'm embracing East End of London here. I want to be a part of the fabric. And when you look at, say, like Pablo Fornals, those sort of players that even Carlos Tevez did, didn't he? There's players that just fall in love with West Ham. Whereas, I feel like we have picked players. Don't get me wrong, good quality players, but players that possibly don't really want to be here for long term. And I think we need to change that. So I'd like to think that when you get players that I find that are younger, they just desperately want their chance. They want to be playing football. The chance of coming to play. I think, although Harvey Elliot as well falls into this category, although people might disagree because they say, well, hang on, he's got a lot of interest elsewhere. But especially Tyler Morton, I think it'd be a great move for him. I think he'd be thinking, I can go into West Ham, I can possibly force myself into being a first team regular in that midfield, and I'll be playing Premier League football week in, week out, get my profile up, start to get involved more in the international scene, get noticed. I just think these players are going to be gunning for that kind of move. And I don't think West Ham's a bad club for that. It really isn't. Despite I know we've had a bad season. I just think I'm really impressed by what we've been linked with. I mean, I don't know about the deal though, to be honest, Tom, like you were saying. I don't know what the arrangement would be. Loan to buy would make sense, especially for Tyler Morton. I don't think we're going to get that option elsewhere. I just don't think that's going to be the case. So Harvey Elliot, mate, let's talk about him. Harvey Elliot, this is going to be for me, this is just my view. If West Ham can go and sign Harvey Elliott, I think it would be massive for the football club, and it would be massive for what's going on now at West Ham. So I'm getting comments from someone who keeps putting the same comments I've been missing. Sorry, it's not getting comments, but the same comment over and over again. I think if West Ham were to go and get this, I think it would settle a lot of nerves. I think for West Ham fans in particular, I think we'd feel far more confident about going into the season. I think that there would be an indication, actually, that things might not be too bad. If West Ham were able to go and sway someone like Harvey Elliott to say, this is the club for you, this is where you want to come play football, it would be massive. I'm not saying I'm very confident about it. I think it's hard to be confident. But apparently, according to Jacob Steinberg, he reported, Tom, that West Ham are confident, that there's a confidence on West Ham we can actually get the player. I understand that the arrangement is that Liverpool have said that it will be £40 million, but they get a buyback clause in the contract, which I think is for 50 million or 60 million. Or you pay 50 million and there's no buyback clause. So it'd have to be 40, you imagine, for West Ham. I can't imagine us throwing 50 at it. And I imagine we probably won't want to pay 40. We probably want to pay 30 odd for him. What's your feelings on it? What's your feelings on the player, first of all? And then we'll go into the deal and stuff.
Yeah, really like him. Really, really like him. I remember watching the game last season for Liverpool. I think it might have even been the Carabao Cup final against Newcastle. And he came onto the pitch and I feel like he changed the momentum of the game. Obviously, Liverpool were trying to get back in the game as Newcastle were 2 up. But he looked like the one that was really starting things going, and he was coming deep, picking the ball up in midfield, putting really good deep crosses into the box. He was making things happen. I remember thinking at the time, obviously he had no association to West Ham at that time. And I remember thinking he would be a great player for a mid-table Premier League club to start week in, week out, because he's obviously not getting that at Liverpool. And you feel like Liverpool signing the likes of Wirtz and the midfield that they've already got and the success they've already had, it is going to be difficult for him to make a first team appearance week in, week out. So I feel like he's a great player. He really is. And I think if he was to come in as Paquetá replacement, I think that you can't get much better replacement for a Premier League player to come in and be the number 10, if you like, the creator from midfield. I don't know what's happened with Paquetá in terms of the latest with the hearing, but if that's the thinking, I don't know if we would fit I can't say his name, Paquetá and Elliot in the same midfield. I don't know if that's just too attacking, and then you would have one. I don't know if that would work, or if we, like you say, go with the box, then have him and Bowen. I don't really know how we see it fitting. I'm
pretty certain, Tom. I'm pretty certain Paquetá's going to go. I think he'll go either way. I think we don't know obviously what's going to happen with this ban thing. This hearing situation. But there's obviously confidence. I think it was coming out last week that he's probably going to be found not guilty, which would be great news for him and for everybody involved. But I think West Ham I think he will be sold. I think he wants to go. I think only because he's been here long enough. He's been here quite a bit and he wants to change. I totally understand. So I don't think that'd be the case. I imagine, like you say, I think Harvey Elliott's coming in to replace him, to be honest.
I mean, and to be honest, if you were to ask me 5 players playing Premier League football to replace Paquetá, Harvey Elliott would be on that list. So I don't think you can pick many players to come in. I'm not saying he's the best in that position and he would come in and be amazing, but I do think that as a young footballer who's proven that he can play in the Premier League, he's getting better and better. I think he would be a perfect replacement for Paquetá. So I really like him. Obviously, again, my sort of ambition for this team is like to sign a box-to-box midfielder, a physical midfielder, because that is something we massively lacked last season. We got cut through time and time again. You just see teams counter-attacking us all the time last season. So I want a box-to-box, maybe an Onyedika, for example, that kind of player. So again, we seem to be skirting around that sort of thing. I don't know if Tyler Morton is more that player. I haven't seen too much of him, but that's where I want us to see a strengthen first. But you're right. Harvey Elliott is a fantastic player, would be a real statement signing, and I think he would be the statement that this is the new West Ham moving forward. This is Graham Potter's West Ham. It's going to be different. We're not going to have stars that, maybe what's the word, a little bit sort of the mavericks, if you like. We're going to have players that are good footballers like Harvey Elliott is, but is also going to put the work in, young, creative, fast-paced, and just try and hopefully build that team. So that could be the statement. And if he came in, I'd be excited. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I think it'd be a real statement signing for us. I think, and we need it. We need something as well. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm pleased we got Diouf, but I think it would be such a huge lift for everyone at the club, and just breathe that confidence into this season, because we really do need a lift as a fan base. I think as a whole. I think I'm still got some quite fair bit of optimism going into this season, but it's not confidence. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like if we get someone like Harvey Elliot, I think my confidence levels will start to rise. Actually, I think we're going to be all right. Like, if we can attract players like that, then we probably can go on and get a few more over the line that I think are going to really help us. Right, let's get into some comments then from people. Got a few mixed bag of things here. Let's have a look. So we've got Damien that said, don't need Elliot or Morton. We need athletes. So I disagree. I think they're both like, they're not slow players, but I think if you look at Elliot, he's far more creative. Damien, he's a real creative player. He's switching of play is stunning. How he switches play between the left and right side of the pitch is excellent in terms of his long balls. But he's also very the way he sort of manoeuvres around when he's in possession in quite tight proximity to the defence. He reminds me a little bit like Lanzini used to be. He could weave a little bit. I just think he'd be a real big addition to our team, and that with that creative out there, like Tom was saying, that if you're going to have someone like that, maybe possibly to replace Paqueta if he's on his way, which I do think is going to be the case, to be honest. But obviously that's not confirmed 100% yet, but I do think that might well be. We've got here, got from Steve. Hiya, Mark and Tom. Great channel, lads. Subscribe. Oh, thank you very much. Cheers, Steve. That is very, very kind of you, mate. Gavin saying good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, mate. Hope you're doing well. Happy Hammerette, what have we got here? We've got how the medical goes through and Diouf can join the team during this weekend. I think that is the case. I think actually he is likely to feature. I think is it against Grasshoppers? I think we're playing in a friendly. Yeah. I think he'll be eligible for that. So my understanding will be he'll do the medical today. I imagine he's announced tomorrow. I think he'll be flying out tomorrow. I guess. I don't know how long these things take. These medicals are a bit strange. Don't you find, Tom? Like sometimes medicals can either be. It seems like really quick. Oh, he's had his medical done in the shirt. Then some medicals seem to go on forever. I guess it's what it was usually for us. It takes forever because we're signing fucking Andy Carroll or someone.
And not to put cold water on the move, but he did break his leg apparently. To what I read online a few months ago. I know it seemed.
I thought you were going to say this morning.
No, not this morning. Yeah, that would be bad. But he did break his leg a few months ago. Obviously, since then he's played for Senegal against England and looked very good. So I'm hoping it wasn't a bad one, But yeah, medicals, you never know, particularly with West Ham, anything can happen. Oh,
no, exactly. I agree. We've got another comment here from Damien. He said, Magician today's deciding doesn't indicate that. Why would adding a left wing back indicate he's going to play that system? I'm not sure what he's referring to there. Is he talking about the wing back system? 5-3-2. I don't know. I think Graham Potter tends to operate typically with wing backs, box midfield and a striker. That's typically used. If you look at most of his formations previously, that typically is his, especially away from home. We will operate definitely more of a counter-attack system, and that is how we will play. Or we will play with large numbers at the back line and then look to counter. I imagine that's how we're going to set up. To be honest, Damien, I think that's what you're referring to. Sorry, go on, Tom.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's. I think he sort of flirted with that a lot last season, like you say, and he played a lot that system. What ended up happening is we didn't really have an outlet on the left, the same we did on the right with Wan-Bissaka, and Ollie Scholes came in, did really well, but he wasn't that attacking threat down the left-hand side. And also, we didn't have the two midfielders to play that box system. So what he ended up doing was doing Bowen and Kudus up top as like as a two, and it ended up being a bit of a 3-5-2 formation. And he just flooded the midfield with like Rodriguez, Ward-Prowse, and Souček, for example, or Alvarez. And because he clearly didn't trust either the left wing back as an attacking option and an outlet down the left, or the central midfielders. So if Diouf sort of ticked one of those boxes, and we get a better central midfield, and like Damien was saying, I do agree in that sense that we do need athletes in the middle of the park. If he does that, then I feel like that 3-5-2 system works better. And then you can imagine Bowen and Somerville in those two behind, or Elliot, that can really cause damage. So yeah, I think he probably just didn't have the players last season to play that system as well as he would have hoped.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a big change this season. If we can go out and get the players that Potter wants, I think we're going to see a better West Ham. I really do. I have confidence that we will see a much better side and better balance to our team. As you say, you could quite see that what he was trying to do. I don't think we had the players, especially in midfield. Midfield was dreadful. That's where we've got a lot of problems. But you're right. Our left hand side was nowhere as effective as it was on the right. due to Wan-Bissaka. So I'd like to think Diouf's going to make a big difference there. Paul's said, West Ham are going to go after Tomiyasu from Arsenal. I don't think so. I don't think that will happen. I think there'll be too much wage and age. I just don't think it fits the caliber. I think you can already see the kind of caliber of players we're going for, and you can kind of indicate now. Which I tell you what, that's something I'm quite liking about this window, Tom, in terms of who we're being linked with. It's like usually West Ham, I'm already thinking, oh God, what crock are we going to go for now? What has been are we going to go for now? Do you know what I mean? Like someone that's way out on the end of their career, much like a Callum Wilson, and we're going to sign him now. I've said this. Callum Wilson or Calvert-Lewin. They are prime David Sullivan targets. Like, Premier League experience. Yeah, don't care that they're always on the treatment table. We'll have them. I like the fact that we're actually saying no to these players. We're not interested. I have heard that Callum Wilson could be a last resort, but I still don't. I don't think that'll happen. I'm pretty sure, but I don't think Tomiyasu would happen. To be honest, I think it'll just be too expensive, I think, for us in terms of wages and everything else. I don't see it happening. Avram replaced the nipple. I'm talking about Areola, I'm guessing. That's the nickname he likes to be called, apparently. I'm going to guess it. We do need a new goalkeeper. We do need a goalkeeper, definitely. What's your thoughts quickly on that, Tom? What do you reckon? Goalkeeper, we need to replace Areola as number one?
Yeah, but it's a weird one for me because if we were going to replace Areola, I would have thought that they'd have kept Fabianski and had Fabianski as the number two, because Areola, from what I understand, is on a massive wage. So if you bring a goalkeeper in, say you bring in the Leicester goalkeeper to be the number one, is Areola, one, going to be happy that he's a number two? Probably not. And two, he's on a massive wage to be a number two goalkeeper at our team. So then do you offload Areola, and then you've got to bring in another goalkeeper to make him a number two? So I find it weird that we didn't just keep Fabianski, try and sell Areola, and then replace him with whatever keeper we wanted to get. It just feels like we could have done one or the other, and we've actually fallen in between. We've got rid of Fabianski because his contract ended, and now it's like, well, we've got Areola and we don't really rate him. We want to get another goalkeeper in, but then we're going to have two goalkeepers probably on high wages. So I feel that's a bit of a mix-up to me, to me from the outside anyway. Yeah,
it is a strange one. And also you've got to remember that he kicked up a right stink when he was number two, and that's when he was playing European football. Do you know what I mean? Like he was playing all our European games and all our cup games, and he was pissed off. So I can't imagine he's going to be thrilled now sitting on the bench. But it is a strange one. I think it's a good point. Unless, of course, the plan is bring in a new goalkeeper, drop Areola with a view that we are going to sell you anyway. We'll probably flog you maybe mid-season or the end of next one. We'll keep you as the backup, even if you are pissed off. We'll get rid of you then, and then we'll then look at possibly, because also we've got to remember our academy is also producing good goalkeepers, so it could well be that will be the next to go behind our goalkeeper. I don't know. It's difficult, but I can't see Areola being thrilled with it. So as Avram says, replace the nipple. Well, I certainly will. Cheers, mate. Right, Diggy Hodges. Spot on, Tom. We need to find a solution. The slowest midfield in history. Diouf is Potter and McCauley's choice, and to get their players is essential. I totally agree, Diggy. I think we've said that as well. This is from Paul, I'm guessing. Paul, letting Emerson go has left me worried about what will become of Lucas, even if he's cleared. He's his best friend, so that support will be gone, and they will play their best when they're playing together on the pitch. Yeah, I as I say, I don't see Paqueta being here this season, to be honest, Paul. I really don't. I think we need to know this bloody result of this stupid hearing. I mean, how ridiculous is that, Tom, that we're still like, I mean, it is a farce, isn't it? I mean, I know it's coming towards its conclusion, but how long have we heard that? But yeah, I think from what I understand it, that there's a lot of interest in Paqueta still, even from Premier League clubs. But I can't imagine him staying in the Premier League. I imagine after this with the FA, I imagine him and his family want to get away. So I would actually like him to go Saudi. That would obviously that'd be great for us, because they'd probably fork out 40, 50 million for him, possibly. You know what I mean? Yeah. You'd probably look at a decent fee, maybe. I think we'll save that conversation for another day. But I do think that. I don't think you've got anything to worry about there, mate, because I don't think they're going to be, either of them will be here next season. Well, certainly not for the majority of it anyway. Right, Hammerette, what have we got here? Confident that signing a 20-year-old under Potter will result in him featuring in the first team. Well, yeah, he doesn't shy away, Potter, does he, from playing younger players? You know what I mean? He will do it. He will give them a chance. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how I'm quite excited about this pre-season, Tom, with our academy lads.
Yeah, hopefully they get plenty of time, the youngsters. Potts is the one that I really want to see if he can cope in the Premier League. He's obviously had two good loans now. So I think he deserves his opportunity. He certainly deserves it over a Guido Rodriguez, for example, who I think I'm hoping we're going to move on. So yeah, Potts, Orford, Scholes again. You'd hope Scholes is, even with just signing, you'd hope Scholes still gets plenty of minutes and can develop himself. So yeah, it's definitely the way forward. We've had an ageing, old, tired, slow squad for far too long. So we need some youth and energy. So it's much needed. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What we got here, we got Ralph saying he really wants to see James Ward-Prowse gone. I don't think we will. I've got a feeling he'll stay this season. I think he'll be seen as a backup midfielder, someone and a bit of a leader in the team. I get the feeling that I think Potter quite likes him. What we've indicated. I might be wrong. Maybe we'll look, but also as well, you've got to think as well. We're probably not going to get much for him. He's not on. I don't think he's on a massive salary. I don't know. I don't see him as a player probably going. I think there's other players on the head of him. I know a lot of fans want to see him gone. And want to move on from him. I just get the feeling he'll be one that we probably will just keep on. What do you reckon, Tom?
Yeah, like you say, we've got so many backup midfielders in central midfield. We've got Irving, Rodriguez, Ward-Prowse, Souček, essentially the youngsters, as I mentioned, Alvarez. You've got a lot of players to move on there that I don't, and we're hoping to bring in, say, an Onyedika or someone else. You would hope so. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't really, I don't know. I would definitely rather Rodriguez moved on than Ward-Prowse, just because if we had 5 minutes to go and we were 1-0 down, bringing Ward-Prowse on just for set pieces, I know that's not the greatest reason to keep someone on at a club, but I feel like he would offer something in that regard. But yeah, we've got too many central midfielders that are not good enough to play to start in the Premier League. So that is an issue. And if we can move them on, then we need to. But yeah, I don't see them all being moved on.
Well, Stephen agrees anyway in terms of that. He just says that don't think he should be giving James Ward-Prowse away. I'm kind of I'm all right with James Ward-Prowse staying. I've got no real problem with him being at the club. I think he comes across like a decent bloke. I imagine he's pretty good around the dressing room. And I actually think he comes on and always gives it his all. And I'm not saying he's a brilliant player or anything like that. He's obviously past his best. But I still think he can do a job when it's needed. So I've got no real problem with it. But like you say, Tom, there's quite a few, isn't there, we've got in terms of that position. Todd has now said, how about a swap deal with the Saints for James Ward-Prowse going to them on loan and us getting Ramsdale on loan? That might work. I don't think many fans would like getting Ramsdale, to be honest. I don't think we're that. He's on the list, Todd, but I don't think he's that high. My dad's actually on here. Look, Chris Carlow. Todd, no, that is a mistake. So I think at least we're in a similar mindset. But yeah, I agree. I don't think we'll go for Ramsdale. I think the Leicester City goalkeeper is probably the more likely, I think, at the moment. But we'll wait and see. I know that we're in talks with a few, aren't we? I want to try and move off James Ward-Prowse. Now, Paul said James Ward-Prowse experienced captain. I'll try and move away from it. Sorry, change the subject there, Paul. Right, we've got Chris saying, would signing Morton push Potts out, or is there room for both players? Seems similar styles of players from what I've seen. I think they're quite similar in terms of physique and play. I think Potts plays a little bit more deeper, role than what Morton would play. From what I've seen and what I understand of them as players, I think Potts is going to be seen as he's certainly highly regarded at the club, Chris. So I do think that he's going to be given a massive chance this season. I think there's high hopes for him. So I don't think us signing Morton's an indication that Potts is going to be pushed aside. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think they're very pleased with him. So, yeah, I don't think that will happen. John was just saying what I was saying about the goalkeepers, Tom, like Suzuki or Hermanson from Leicester. They're my two, definitely. I've got Adam saying, hi, Adam. Hope you're doing well, mate. What have we got here? This is from Stephen. He's saying, I'm sorry, mate, bring your comment back up. I'd be absolutely amazed if you get Elliot. I'm a little bit like that. What do you reckon? Honestly, Tom, if you had to put money away, what's your confidence levels, percentage-wise, out of 100, getting Elliot? Are you really, is it
5%? Yeah,
really?
I don't. To be honest, yeah, really? I don't think. Why would it? I know you said it would be a good move for him. I just don't think. Why would you come to West Ham if you're Elliot? First of all, why would you? If you're going to leave Liverpool, which would be a big move to move away from a team that's just won the Premier League, Champions League football. Okay, he's not starting, fine, but you're moving away from that. Surely you'd go to one of the clubs that are just better run, having a better system. There's more of an idea of how they're going to play next season. I couldn't tell you how we're going to play next season, so I'm not sure he would be able to. I feel like if he's going to go anywhere, the likes of Brighton, maybe Bournemouth would be better moves for him in terms of system. I get West Ham are a bigger club, maybe be able to offer him more wages, and maybe that would swing it. And obviously a move back to London. But even Fulham, back to Fulham, he done well at Fulham, and you feel like that could be a move back. Why would you move to West Ham? I'm a West Ham fan, and I'm saying that, but I don't understand why you'd move there at this current stage. We're an absolute mess. We can't get away from that. And Diouf signing doesn't really change that. We are a mess at the moment. And I'm sorry to be negative, but that's just how I feel. Like I don't see why, if you're Harvey Elliot and you've got, which I think he would have the pick of Premier League clubs, you'd opt for West Ham, in my opinion. Yeah.
I agree. I think it is. I do agree. I know what you're saying. It feels like it's a big reach for us to get him. But that being said, I don't think it's out of the realms, mate. I really don't. I think as well, you've got to remember it's what Potter's pitching to them. If he's saying, look, this is the way we're going to be playing our football. This is where we're going to be taking the club forward over the next couple of years. This is our ambitions of the club. He might be thinking, well, you know what, this might not be a bad place to be for me at the moment. Because it's not, I know what you're saying about leaving Liverpool and big club and winning things and all that, but don't forget, he's playing. He's got to be playing football. But I do totally agree with you that it's not as if it's West Ham or Liverpool. He's got West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, Brighton, all these clubs that are all going to be circulating. Bournemouth, like you say, all going to be circulating, wanting him. So there are better options than West Ham. I can't deny that. Like if I'm a player, West Ham is certainly not top of the list, is it? Let's be honest. It just depends how we pitch it. I think we're wrapping up now, mate, because we've gone over slightly what we normally plan to do. But Chris Elliott would be a great buy. Cheers, that's for my old man. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's an interesting few days, mate. We've got coming up here. I'm intrigued to see how West Ham attack this with Liverpool. I think I don't anticipate. I'm not holding my breath that we are going to get these players over the line. I'm not going to go in that mindset that we're going to get them. But I really hope we give it a go. I really hope West Ham go in and show some real, intent and say that, imagine if we go to Liverpool today or tomorrow and say, it's £40 million for Elliot. Bang. Do you know what I mean? The talk started. You start to think, we mean business. I don't want to see a silly £22 million offer. Do you know what I mean? You think, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm hoping. So, that's going to be interesting. Is that everything, Tom? Is there anything you want to mention before we wrap up, or are we done?
No, the only other position that I don't seem to be hearing too much of is the striking position. I think we were linked with that player that you're talking about. Is it Sassin or something? The striker. Other than that, I've not heard
Sassin.
Yeah. We've not heard too much about the striking position, and we've literally just got Fulkrug. Now Antonio is still yet to sign a new deal. We've got Fulkrug, and that's pretty much it. And I feel like we need some pace up front. So I'm hoping that once left back's done, centre midfield we sort, and then a striker is definitely a position I want to hear, because I'm not, like I say, I've not heard too many rumours with strikers yet. So that's what I want to see us get done. But that's it from me. Thanks for having me on. Yeah.
No, great to see you, mate, as always. And we'll do more of these videos. And we like doing the live chat. It's great. So thank you everyone for your comments. Really appreciate it. Look, I hope it's a good week. I might do a video a bit later on, possibly of a transfer update, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, see how the day occurs. But we're up and running. We're up and running at last. Have a good one, and